Everybody who's in the base medrash, or people are still in the dormitories now?
We're in the base medrash.
Okay. So last time we were talking about hot water systems. So it came out that solar heated water was a machlokes between the Shiur Shabbos. The first volume said it's mutter. Second volume said better not to do it. It might be chashas d'rabbanan. And so the basic thought it's d'oraisa now because that's the way they heat water. Fine. As far as conventionally heated water, gas or electricity, use the hot water. Basically, it's pretty much accepted. It's usher because the cold water comes in when you turn on the faucet and gets heated up. It wasn't. There was what they discussed there because there was a divrei David about a whole cheshbon. It might be mutter. It's generally accepted that it's usher. Fine. Now, let's assume now that it's usher, right? That's the general accepted psak. What if you turn off the intake valve on the water tank? So when you turn on the water, no cold water is going to go in. Just it's going to empty out the water that's there. Okay? So theoretically, it's no problem. You might have a technical problem because no water goes in, there's no pressure, and the water isn't going to come out because it's going to be a vacuum there. Okay, but let's assume somehow some air can get in and the water will come out. Now, so forget about the technical issues about whether the water will come out. What are the halachic issues? So basically, the fact that the water comes out and no water goes in. The question is, though, that if you want to mix in your tap hot water and cold water, you might end up heating up the cold water. So let's start with a little bit of background. Let's say I turn on the faucet and the hot water comes out, just the hot water. The water that comes out, what is its status? So is it an iri kli rishon? And then the water comes out, whatever it'll touch and hit will cook a kedei klipa, the outer shell. We know that when hot water comes out and hits something, it cooks the outer shell. Or is it some other status, right? So the Shiur Shabbos Hilchos in Perek Aleph Halacha Mem Aleph, look in footnote Chav Beis, says it depends. Is the fire on in the tank or not? He says if the fire is on in the tank, right? So there, and the pipes that go from the tank to your tap, your faucet, are all connected. The whole thing gets a halacha of a kli rishon. And when you turn on your tap or faucet, right, whatever comes out has a halacha of an iri kli rishon. That's what he says. Now, but he says if the electricity is off, the gas is off, there's no flame there, and so the hot water in the tank has no flame on there, and the pipes have cooled off. So he says, when you turn on the water, since it's not connected to a source of heat right now, even though it's connected to the tank, what goes through the pipes has a halacha of a kli sheni. The pipes have a halacha of a kli sheni, and then what comes out of your tap is a halacha of iri kli sheni. So again, if the tank is on, the whole system with all the pipes is a kli rishon, what comes out is iri kli rishon. If the tank is off and the pipes have cooled off, and then you turn it on, then the pipes are the kli sheni, and what comes out is an iri kli sheni. Now, you might ask the following question. A kli sheni, the Gemara says in Shabbos and Daf Mem Beis doesn't cook. Why? So Tosir explains because the walls of the kli sheni cool it off. Based on that, Rav Soloveitchik thought that in certain hotels they want to keep your soup hot when you get it. They preheat the bowls before they put the soup in it. They preheat the bowls before they put the soup in it. Then he says, since the bowls are preheated, they don't cool it off, and therefore when you pour from the pot into the bowl, it's still a kli rishon because there's nothing to cool it off. So you could say, based on that, when I first turn on the hot water, the pipes are cold. So the pipes are kli sheni. And then when it comes out, it's an iri kli sheni. But we leave it running for a while, so the pipes heat up. And then the next water that comes through goes through hot pipes. So maybe that continues to be kli rishon. So I don't know what Soloveitchik would say, but the Shmir Shabbos Kochasa says that since the pipes are not, even though they heat up, but they're not connected to any source of fire, since they have cooled off, and what only connects them is to the tank, which has no fire on, they never lose their status of a klisheni, even though they get heated up. The only way you lose your status of a klisheni is to be connected to a source which has a fire source there. That's what he said. Now, I don't know, I didn't hear this from Rav Soloveitchik. I heard from Rabbi Schefter many, many years ago, and then Rav Soloveitchik. I don't know, Rav Soloveitchik was talking about how it was heated up. I assume he might have been talking about heated up next to the fire. They put it near the blech and it heats it up. So then it wouldn't be against the Shmir Shabbos. I have no idea if we concur with this or not. But anyway, according to Shmir Shabbos, if the tank is on, the whole system has Allah of a Kli Rishon, or comes out as a Kli, Iri Kli Rishon. If, however, the tank is off and the pipes are cooled off, you turn it on, the pipes have Allah of a Kli Sheni, and even though you let it run for a while, the pipes heat up, it still never loses the status of a Kli Sheni, and what comes out is an Iri Kli Sheni. Okay. Now, that's one point you have to know. Now, the next thing you have to know is that Iri Kli Rishon cooks, right? However, if you look in the Ramah in Shin Yud Ches Sif Yud Beis, in the brewer there, Pei Gimel, Pei Dalet, he says if you take the Kli Rishon and you pour into a pot of water, which is cold, he says if there's so much water there that it will never reach Yad Soletis, you don't have to worry about it, because if you pour it, it mixes right away. It's not a solid thing that it hits it. And therefore, since it's like you pour on, let's say, a carrot, the outer layer might get cooked, nothing moves. You pour into water, it all moves around. Therefore, he says you pour into a lot of cold water, a thing of a pail of cold water, since there's no way to reach Yad Soletis, there's no problem, even though you're pouring from a Kli Rishon. And then he says, furthermore, let's assume you have a Kli Rishon with a little bit of hot water. And you pour it in cold water. Kli Rishon certainly cooked. And he says you pour in so much water, it never reaches Yad Soletis, then there's also no problem. It's just, you have to pour it all at once. You start pouring slowly, the first water is going to reach Yad Soletis, and then as you pour more, it's going to cool off. You have to take it and pour a gush of water to make sure nothing ever reaches Yad Soletis. Okay, so if in a Kli Rishon, if you arrange it, nothing ever reach Yad Soletis, then that is not a problem. Okay, being that with all that background, now let's go back to our hot water system. We have a hot water system where the water is hot, but we have turned off the intake valve. So no cold water is going to go in, right? Now, you want to mix the hot water and the cold water, right? So if the source of heat is still on, electricity is on, the gas is on, so the whole system has a lot of a Kli Rishon. You're going to start mixing in the pipes the hot water and the cold water, you have a potential problem of cooking the cold water. The only way to get around it is to make sure you have enough cold water that nothing will ever reach Yad Soletis. And the way to do that is, the suggested way is, don't put on the hot water and then pour on the cold water, because then it might only mix a little bit, reach Yad Soletis, and then the next water will cool it off. First put on the cold water, and then slowly put on the hot water, and watch until it doesn't get Yad. Then watch it that it'll never reach Yad Soletis. Either you don't turn on the cold water at all, that's A, or B, the other solution is that you turn on the cold water first and then slowly start adding hot water and make sure that the mixture never reaches Yad Soletis. Okay? This is all found in the Shmir Shabbos there, mostly in footnote Kuf Yud Dalet. Now, there's another issue over here. Let's say I'm not turning on, mixing any cold water in. But when I first turn on the water from the hot water tank, right, which is on, there's water in the pipes, which are going to come out, correct? Now, what's the problem? Let's assume, what am I turning on the hot water for? Let's assume I'm turning on to fill up a pot, or to fill up something, right? Now, what happens is going to be that first the cold water is going to come out, and then hot water is going to come out, and it's going to mix and meet your Yad Soletis, right? And it's going to be Iri Kli Rishon on it, which is a problem. So that's a problem. So, but then you have to break it down. The cold water in the pipes, was once preheated hot water, it just cooled off, or it's water from the cold water system. If it's water from the hot water system that that cooled off, don't worry about it because it's in a miskaven, it was a psikresha. There's a bunch of cheshbonos there why he says you don't have to worry about it. He says you don't have to worry about it here in Perak Aleph Halacha Lamed Tes. That's what he says. 1 second here. He says it's a psikresha of ichbas because you're gonna have enough hot water anyway, and the whole Easter is only a drabon in there, and whatever. No, excuse me. That is not the cheshbon here. One moment. No, he says that I take that back. The reason is that since we pass Kamikra Dinay Bishul Achar Bishul, we're just machmer. Here with Dinay Miskave, even if it's crazy, you don't have to worry about it. That's if the water was once cooked. What did say the water in the system is cold water? The Shmir Shabbos says, don't collect it. Wait until all the cold water that comes out first goes down the drain, and then start collecting it. This way, it'll never be heated up again. So, if you're not mixing the hot water and the cold water, the problem is just the first water that's going to come out is going to get cooked by the next water. So then, if it was once cooked, this water, don't worry about it. If it was never cooked, then just simply don't let it collect. Now, there is one more point in this case here. That is as follows. Okay, let's assume I only turn on the hot water, and I don't have to worry about the water that comes out first. So hot water is coming out, and all in the pipes has a lot of kirusha. Now, there's always a point where the hot water and the cold water pipes mix, right? So let's assume I couldn't turn on the cold water, so nothing's going in. Just the hot water is flowing. But at the point where the hot water pipe passes the cold intake of the cold water pipe, it's going to heat up the water as it passes on. As it passes it on, it's going to heat it up. You have to worry about it. So Shmir Shabbos says, don't worry about it. Why? He goes through the whole story. That even though it's a psikresha, it's a grama and a kohen. Once you hold that whole Dvar Torah, remember from last time, Shiur used the whole hot water system. No, he doesn't want to agree to that, but he says that two things are better here. That one thing is better over here. That what? What's better over here is that that it's a psikresha do ichpas. I couldn't care less where this water is. He's not using this hot water. So that he's more than not a psikresha ichpas, a psikresha which is only also midrabanan. And he throws in the grama, if you remember this from last week, etc., etc. And I don't know if you remember from last time, I had a discussion whether there's a koach sheni which does something in the third thing. The thing falls off the tree, hits the light switch, or the thing falls off the tree, and then in itself there is it breaks it apart, and there is a problem of dust. So here the problem is it passes by, it does something in the other water. That's a davar shlishi. When the water goes into the tank and gets heated up, if you remember the whole cheshbon from last time, that the malach is done in the koach sheni. So all these reasons doing to be makel here, but not in a very usually hot water in general. Now, this whole issue is only if the tank is off. If the tank is off, all the pipes have a lot of klisheni, and water doesn't cook in klisheni, and there is no problem. So I just want to sum up, get all the cheshbonos. It comes out as follows. We're assuming you can't use the hot water system on Shabbos. So what you want to do is you want to turn off the intake of the cold water. The intake of the cold water. Fine, good. Now you do that. If the dud is still on, if the turn is still on, the tank is still on with electricity or some other source, then all the pipe system has a lot of kedusha. You want to mix cold water, you have to make sure that it never reaches the lettuce. You have to turn it on first and slowly increase the hot water. If you don't want to mix it with cold water, the only problem is the water that comes out of the pipes first is cold water before the hot water comes through. So you have to worry about you're going to cook that when you collect it. So if it was preheated water, was once hot, now it cooled off, you don't have to worry about it. If, however, it was never cooked this water, it was water originally from the cold water system, the last thing you turned on was the cold water, then let this water go down the drain and then start collecting it afterwards. That's all if the electricity is off. Electricity is off, all the pipes have a lot of klisheni, water has to cook klisheni. It's one of these things that's certainly not kali bishul, and therefore you have no problems whatsoever. Okay, that's A. Now, let's assume you turned off your intake of the water. Let's assume you didn't turn it off, but you haven't had the tank on for a while. The water there is not yad soletis. There's no problem. You turn it off, the warm water will come out, cold water will go in. It'll never reach yad soletis. There is no problem. Okay, just a couple of little points here at the end. One, Rabbi Ida is worried about on page 395 in a footnote that nobody knows if you turned on hot water, turned on the intake valve, or turned it off or stopped it. So let's assume I did, and I turn on the hot water, which I'm allowed to do. But it's a problem on RSI. You'll tell me nobody knows that I did it, correct? So you'll tell me nobody's in your house. But it's halacha, Gemara, and Beit Daf Test. Rabbi said the name of Rav, but it is also because of Maris Ayin, is also even Yerolach. But we know the Rishonim say, the Mishnah quotes it in Simon Shin Aleph, that that's only Maris Ayin and the Raisa. So Maris Ayin and Drabanan, you don't have to worry about if nobody's around. So somehow you can reduce this at least to a Drabanan by Kvachshen or something, then this would not be a problem. He just raises the issue. Okay, now, there's two more points left. There are major machlokas on the following point. Let's assume somebody by accident turned on hot water on Shabbos. Is he allowed to turn it off? The Shiur Shabbos says in Perek Aleph Halacha Mem Beis, you should also look there earlier in footnote Tzadik Vav, no. Why? Because he says the water that's coming in now will take, let's say, 5 minutes to heat up. You turn off the hot water coming out, it'll heat up now in 3 minutes. So you're hastening the cooking of the cold water that came in. So he says you're not allowed to do it. Because if you just let it run, it will never reach out to it because it keeps on running, or it will reach it in X amount of minutes, and now it's going to be turning it off or reach it in half X, and you're not allowed to hasten the cooking. Same way something's not cooked, you can't put it on the block closer to the fire than where it is. Now, Rabbi Ida is makel for some unknown reason. Now, this Divrei David is makel, but he has all kinds of cheshbonos we don't accept on Allah. Because he says you can use a hot water system on Shabbos. I'll tell you, if you look in Rabbi Riyad's Hilchos Shabbos on page 641, see, he says it depends. He has right over here. If the hot water was accidentally turned on or run on full force, there may be a problem of turning it off, right? Now, he says the problem is we let it run for a long time, like 15, 20 minutes, depends how big your heater is, the water probably cooled down below Yad Soletis. When you turn it off, so then it's going to heat up. So he says the only option is with a guy to turn it off. And try not to tell him direct, try to hint. But he says if it's only running for a short time, or it's running slowly, he assumes that the water that went into the tank heated Yad Soletis right away, and by your turning off, it's not going to reach Yad Soletis, it reached there anyway. That's what he writes over here. That's what he writes. And now he's assuming once it reaches Yad Soletis, there's no more cooking after it. The Shlomo Zalman isn't so sure about that. But that's why he says it's also in the Shmir Shabbos. Because even if it reaches Yad Soletis, as long as you increase the heat towards boiling is a problem. But he's worried about that. But he's not worried about that. So he says if the water that came in didn't get heated up right away, right, because too much cold water came in, then don't turn it off. But if it only a little bit came in and you can assume that it got heated up already, then don't worry about it. That is his take. Last point over here is as follows. I just want to raise this. He writes over here as follows. On page 640, Rabbi Rabbi, where there is an extreme need, that's what we call Shas HaTchak, and you live in an apartment building, multi-dwelling building, and some of the people live there are goyim, then sometimes there might be a heter to turn on the hot water, but he says you have to ask some posek for it and don't rely on this in yourself. Doesn't explain anything. You look at his big footnote in the back, he claims the story is as follows. That he throws in a bunch of things. One is that he claims, this is a question of fact. He says when let's say there are two neighbors in an apartment building, one's a good, he turned on his hot water now, correct? Now I turned on my hot water. He says that the intake bag was only so big. Once the neighbor, the non-Jew, turned it on, it comes in at a certain amount. When I turn it on mine, it's not going to come in any at a stronger rate now. It's just when he turns it off, mine will continue to make it come in, right? Or the fact that I turned it on, there'll be less water in the tank. So it also. But the point is, he says that I'm not going to increase the amount of cold water that comes in right away. Now, when I turn on my water, I don't know whether all the goyim, any goy has a hot water, faucet on. So he says that's a subject situation. Subject situation is a big map focus whether you can be makel or not. We discussed it once in Elul. Shiur says that the rice be machmir rabbanon, if you make whatever we explained it. It's big machlokas, and we explained what the svaras were. We explained it at that time. Now, then he throws in again the whole story with the grum and the koch sheni and all that. So he wants to say you protect the grum and the koch sheni is not enough. Subintegration is not enough. You put the whole thing together. Maybe you have a heter. He's not willing to be mako. He says that's a posek. Okay, so if you have a shaila about it, live in a multifamily building, you're going, and it's important for you to use hot water. Speak to some posek. That is the end of hot water systems. Okay, now I want to make a pause now and explain as follows. We've been doing for the last long time, Bishul. Now, as far as the kitchen is concerned, we are finished now with Bishul. So it's an actual malach of Bishul we are finished with. However, there is
question on what Rabbi said.
You can ask, yes.
So if one's in an apartment building that's just like very large and it's at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever it is, you can assume whether it be kids taking a shower or someone's cooking that the hot water is on. Would you then be able to turn it on?
Maybe. He has a whole cheshbon. I don't know. I'm not willing to take it upon myself. Look, you're going to tell me at 3 in the morning there's less of a chance. At 8 o'clock in the morning there's a greater chance. You have to realize, though, it's Saturday morning. I don't know what time I'm going to get up on Saturday morning. It might also depend what kind of a society you live in. I have no idea. Okay, do me a favor. I'm not about to. I'm just aware that there are those who are makel here. You can research it more than, I can't tell you X says it's mutter. I just know there's an issue here. Okay? Period. Okay. Now, what I want to start discussing now is as follows. There are takanas drabanan about washing yourself in hot water on Shabbos. Rechitza and Shabbos in water. How much of your body are allowed to wash? What are the halachas here? So, and this has to do with its takanas related to Bishul in general. You have to break this down into 3 groupings. Water heated before Shabbos, washing on Shabbos, water heated up on Shabbos, and then what's the story with cold water? So let's start with water heated up before Shabbos. So let's give the background first. The Gemara says on Shabbos, on Lamed Tes Amud Beis, we learned in a brayso, water that was heated up before Shabbos, you're allowed to wash with it your face, your hands, and your feet. Panav yada v'ragla, but not your entire body. Now, there's a machlokes there between Rav and Shmuel. Let's assume you want to wash more, but not washing it at once. You wash this, and then you dry it. And then you wash this, and you dry it. Right? You want to wash your whole body, but piecemeal, and dry it off. So the Gemara says on Shabbos and Daf Mem, Rav says that it's mutter. And it's all water heated up before Shabbos. And Shmuel says, no. Only your hands, feet, and face. And even though the Gemara at the end of Bechoros, towards the end of Bechoros, has a principle you pass like Rav in Surit and the Shmuel and Dini Mamanos, nevertheless, here there's a brisa that supports Shmuel. That is one part of the Gemara. Then there's another Gemara. Let's say you're not washing, you're just washing yourself off, right? Just letting water run over you. So there are 3 shitas in Tanoim. Rabbi says it's asur, whether hot water or cold water. Rabbi Shimon says it's mutter, not washing. But Rabbi Yehuda says in hot water it's asur, and in cold water it is mutter. And the Gemara says, there's a Tanoim. You're passing like Rabbi Yehuda. So these halachas in Shulchan Aruch are in Siman Shin Chaf Vav. So it says over here in the first series. It says over here as follows. moment. You can't wash your whole body. Also, Hilchos called gufo, even limb by limb, right? Like Shmuel, and even in water that was heated up before Shabbos, all right? And even to pour on your body is no good. The only thing you can do is wash your hands, feet, and face. You can't wash your whole body, right? Even limb by limb, or pour water on it. This is hot water heated before Shabbos. You can wash your hands, feet, and your face. Now, if you look in the Ramah there, he says it's not limited only to hands, feet, and face. It means you have to wash not your whole body. And the Mishnah Berurah writes in base, Ruba Kukufo. So you take the whole thing together, it means you can wash in hot water, heat it up before Shabbos, up to 50% of the surface area of your body. Because it's not limited to hands, feet, and face, but it has to be less than 50% of the surface area of the body. Okay, why is all this awesome? So you look in the Mishnah Berurah Aleph, he says, because if you let people wash too much, they're going to heat up water on Shabbos. Now you look in the Gemara on Daf Mem, the historical background is as follows. Amar Reb Shimon ben Pazi, Amar Reb Shua ben Levi, Mishum bar kapara. Originally, you're allowed to wash your whole body in hot water on Shabbos, but the water is heated up before Shabbos. But then the bathhouse attendant, the Balonim, started heating up on water on Shabbos, and said, nah, this water was heated up before Shabbos. So because of this, the rabbi said these halachas, period. So that's the bottom line. The bottom line is, though, that you can wash up to, but not including 50% of the surface area of your body. Okay. Now, next issue is, what is called hot water? What's called hot water? So the Shiur Shabbos points out in Perek Yudalet, footnote Gimel, that you can't say it means Yad Soledes, because nobody ever washes water in Yad Soledes. You'll burn yourself. So there are three shittas which are probably really two. The first shita is, or Moshe finds, there's a tshuva in the back of Rabbi Eider, I think it's pre-printed in Orach Chaim Chelik David. In the back of here, it's tshuva Mem Ches Os Aleph. Don't ask me what this halacha l'maisa means. He says it's the heat that most people wash on in the weekday. It's what you take a poll of most people. When they wash in hot water, how hot is the water? And anything less than that is considered cold, right? And even if it's everybody washes at X degrees, and you always wash at X plus 5 degrees, you don't count because it's potato dato. The koveh is what most people wash by when it's hot for them. That's called hot water. Anything else is not hot water. I have no idea how to determine. Then you have the Tila of David. It's quoted in the footnote of the Shiur Shabbos there, Yudalat footnote Gimel. He says that you feel the heat. You feel the heat. Now, there's another Yehuda which says lukewarm is mutter. So they point out Pshat is as follows. When he says lukewarm, it doesn't mean lukewarm. It means cold. In other words, things that you muted the cold, that is called cold water. Things you start feeling that warm, that is hot water. Now, Rabbi Eider, page 387, quotes other achronim who say it is body temperature. Right? What's body temperature? 98.6. It says it's the heat of the saliva. Saliva is the heat of your mouth, right? That is 98.6. Or if you're to centigrade, it's 37 degrees centigrade. Anything less than that is considered cold water. Okay? Now, then the Rabbi Eider claims that the last two shittas are the same. Something you feel the warmth means it's warmer than body temperature. Okay? So again, the shiur here of hot water is not Yad Soledes. The shiur of hot water over here is what? Is according to Moshe, what most people wash, I have no idea what that is. According to the Tila the David and the other achronim, it would mean it's more than body temperature. I'll tell you, it is important, not only for Shabbos. You know, on 9 days, there's certain halachas of washing hot water and cold water. It doesn't mean that water has to be ice cold. You can mix some hot water with it to mute the cold. It just shouldn't be more than 98.6 degrees. That is still called cold water in halach. Now, there's one more thing. There is a Rabbi Kiva Eiger. Ber halacha quotes at the beginning of Shiur that if somebody is mitztayer, he has tsar, even though he's not sick enough to be in bed, but he has tsar, he can wash in hot water. Hot water, heat up before Shabbos. This halacha doesn't apply if somebody has tsar. Okay, that is as far as washing yourself in, with me, in hot water, heated up before Shabbos. Again, according to Moshe, it has to be less than, it has to be the heat that most people wash in a weekday. I assume that's more than 98.6, so I really don't know. And according to the other sheetahs, it means more than 98.6. Now, what's the story about being tovel on a mikvah on Shabbos where the water is warm? So the Mishnah Berurah writes here in Shin Chavav, Sivkat Zion, it's also. Kosa Chai Adam, you can't be tovel in hot water on Shabbos. It can only be what we call lukewarm, less than body temperature. Then the Mishnah Berurah tells you, and look in the note of Yehuda, and look in the Korban Yisrael. Now, he doesn't tell you what they say. You look it up, so it says as follows. Note of Yehuda says that he agrees with what the Mishnah Berurah said until now. He lived 100 years before. But he says the same thing. You can't be told about hot water. He says he doesn't start up with people who do it because Mutu Shogivayu Muzida. I'm not going to listen anyway. Better I shouldn't start up. Let them be over Bishul, and if I don't start up and they'll do it, be over B'mezid. Look at the Korban Asano, in the second parak of Shabbos, the Rosh Os Hafez there, he says they never made this takon of hot water was made by washing or pouring on you, was not made by going in a mikveh. You're allowed to be told in a mikveh hot water on Shabbos, and the Shar HaTzir writes in Os Hey that in an emergency you can rely on the Korban Asano. Okay, so it comes out, Mishnah Berurah and the Chayotim say, don't be told in hot water. It's your whole body, not pun of Yodav Ragla. The Noda B'Yehuda concurs, just says, I don't start with people because they won't listen. And the Korban Asano says there's no problem in Tefillah, and the Shari students, you can rely on him in a Shas HaDchak. Now, what's the story of Halacha L'Maaseh? So you have to break this down into two categories, men and women. Women really have to go to mikveh if that's their time. So Rav Moshe writes in the Tshuva back to Rabbi Eider that a woman shows up in the mikveh on Friday night, and lo and behold, it's hot water. What's she supposed to do? So he says she should be tovel. Why? He says, look, she thinks it's hot. Could be for other women, and they usually wash in hotter water. And she's in the minority. And since the whole Easter is only drabanan, and there's a mitzvah for a woman to be tovel, and she's obligated to her husband, don't ask questions to be tovel. That's what he writes. Period. Now, Rav Asner writes in the Sefer Hilchos Nida that no, we're lenient on this. We're lenient on this issue. We're lenient that we let women be told about hot water on Shabbos. The body of Shulchan of Five Cohen Nida of Five Cohen the Hilchos Nida. Yeah, Hilchos Nida. In your day, Kuf Tzadi Zayin, Sifchan Yud Zayin says the minute is to be made. He writes as follows. First of all, he writes that Mokum Tsar, when you're in Tsar, pain, Rabbi Kveger, Mishnah Berurah recorded you're allowed to wash in hot water on Shabbos. Just to be tovel in cold water is Tsar. I tell the lady not to be tovel. You can't do that. She has to go to mikvah. It's a mitzvah, right? And the Chazal never said don't go to mikvah. They didn't say go to mikvah in this situation. Once she's tovel, she has to be tovel in cold water. It's Tsar. She's got to be tovel in hot water. Okay. The Rabbi Eider writes it's preferably should be lukewarm. Okay, let's sum it up. Okay, Rabbi Eider writes preferably lukewarm. He's following the Mishnah Berurah that l'chatchila should only be lukewarm or cold, less than body temperature. But in Shas HaDchak you can rely on the Korban Asano. There's no problem by two. Okay, everybody else basically says. Moshe says you run the mikvah, don't have the hot water, but otherwise, lady comes, she can be told. And Rav Vazman said that later the body shukar say the minute to be makel, they heat the water up and it can be makel. That is the sum of this. Now, what's the story now when men go into mikveh? Now, men go to mikveh for one of two reasons. One reason they go is if they're about carrying. They're not good about carrying, Takanas Ezra, they go to be mikveh. Otherwise, some people go to mikveh every day. Tosef is kedusha; they add on kedusha. So we'll discuss it more ultimately. But Moshe says, forget it here. Don't the hot water. Don't mention not be tovel. Mention not be tovel in hot water. The Avnei Nezer, the Sachat Shava Rebbe, writes as follows: if you're being tovel because of keri, you're allowed to be tovel in hot water. And if it's osefes kedusha, don't be matir lachatchila. But you don't have to start out with other people tovel even there in hot water. But he says, I'm not part of the mikveh culture. Some people sit and stand in the mikveh for a while because they like hot water. He says, if it's hot water on Shabbos and people are, are dragging around in the mikveh, then you have to make a machla, right? As a certain person once told me here, if you know in Yiddish, there has to be a rein and a rois, in and out. Okay, that's the upshot. So by women, they're more mekulim. By men, so Ramosha says forget about hot water, and Abnei Nezer says for keri it's mutter, but Tosefes Kedusha don't do it. Don't do it lachatchila, but don't start up. And if they drain around, then you should be mocha. Everybody has to go in and out. Nobody drain around in the mikveh. Okay. I mean, just nowadays, I don't know if you put any. I'm not part of the mikveh culture, but in this crazy world we live in the mikveh culture, the abuse that goes on there, especially whatever people start up with younger people there, whatever. In general, you have to be very careful. I know somebody once, certain mashgiach once said, people got messed up psychologically because of situations there, the crazy world we live in. And he tells people, don't let your kids go, no matter what, at whatever age, until they're married. Don't let them go to a mikveh alone. Okay, that is the end of washing with hot water, with water that was heated up before Shabbos. Now, what's the story about washing yourself with hot water that was heated up on Shabbos? So you look at the Mishnah Berurah and Shin Chaf Hey, you can't wash it, use it at all. You can't wash any part of your body with it. And it doesn't, that's what it says. Hot water is heated up on Shabbos. You can't wash yourself at all on Shabbos. Now, what did it say it was heated up in a way that's mutter? Let's say it's heated up in a way that's mutter. Now, what's the halacha? So there are 5 scenarios here. There are 5 scenarios over here. I'm not going to have time today, maybe just to start it, but every case is a machlokas. Every case is a machlokas. Let's assume it was heated up on Shabbos, but to less than Yad Soledes. It was heated up to, what's Yad Soledes? Yad Soledes is, according to, what is it? Moshe Feinstein, 110 degrees. And according to Ravana Kotler, 120 degrees was it? The same except the names. According to Shabbos, 113 degrees. You have to, it's already hot. Won't wash any part of your body at all. I don't know why. It could be because you're afraid to let people do that, so they're going to heat it up to Yad Soledes, so they'll put it where it could get hotter, and they take it off. Afraid they're going to take it off. Whatever they say, it's awesome. Mishnah says it's awesome. The Aruch HaShulchan and Shin Chaf Sifav and Rabbi Yehuda, they say it's mutter. They say it is mutter. Period. They say it's mutter, and Moshe Feinstein agrees to them in a tshuva. Then that's one case. Next case, a goy hit it up. Not for you. So the Aruch HaShulchan says it's in Sif Beis, it's still awesome. Moshe claims it is mutter. He says it's mutter, means you can wash, part of your regular, your face, your hands, and your feet. That's it. You can't wash more than that. So if you're saying it's mutter, then it means part of your regular. It's also you can't wash any part. So you have one machlokas less than Yad Soledes, one machlokas heated up by a goy. Now Moshe is making them both. Now the tshuva there is humongously wrong tshuva. It was written before when Moshe was still a Rav in Russia, And the historical background is very interesting. What happened was the communists then closed down the mikvah. So the Jews worked out that the public bathhouse should have be a kosher mikvah, right? And if a lady wanted to go on Friday night, knew now what? It's hot water there. So that's why he starts dealing with all these halachas. Anyway, those are the first two cases. So maybe next time we'll continue with the other cases and then discuss cold water and go on in this topic.